visualizing data from Databricks into Salesforce.
You have your data in your Lakehouse, where you, as a data engineer, can collect everything and centralize the content.
How do we expose data from Salesforce into Databricks to either retrain those models or to conduct any other analysis downstream in Databricks?
Hey folks, so today I'm with Youssef. Hey Youssef, and we will be talking about Salesforce integration with Databricks with the Canadian Dream Team. So with us we have Vincent today and Jag. Hey guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for taking the time. So maybe we could do like a quick introduction. Vincent, do you want to start and kind of explain us what you're doing at Databricks and with Salesforce?
Sure. My name is Vincent. I'm in Montreal, Canada. I've been with Databricks for 5 years now, and I'm a manager of field engineering. So my team covers all the public sector accounts in Canada.
And my name is Jag Jani. I'm a senior solution engineer at Salesforce. I cover our American accounts. Vincent and I met about a year ago, and we started working on, what's the possibilities between Databricks and Salesforce. And here we are, and we're excited to show the 4 pillars of what that looks like.
That's great. So we see a lot of Salesforce plus Databricks, and I know we had tons of updates to make sure the product work better together and customers can get the best out of them. I don't know, Jag, do you want to get us started and just give us an overview of what's available with Databricks and Salesforce?
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to share my screen, but before I do that, really quickly, the 4 pillars of this integration, this partnership between Databricks and Salesforce are: one, the long-standing pillar between Tableau and Databricks. As you know, right, Tableau and Databricks have been working together much longer, actually, than Salesforce and Databricks. And there are some updates there from the Delta sharing connector. But on the other 3 pillars, they're mostly focused on Salesforce, which is bring your own lake, meaning bringing data and visualizing data, visualizing data from Databricks into Salesforce for a sales rep, marketing teams, service teams to activate on that data. Then you have bring your own model. So, Databricks is traditionally a data science platform. So a lot of data scientists have built some really good models there. How do we infer those models and make use of those models in the flow of work? And that's bring your own model. So be able to call those models via API into Salesforce and then be able to act on that. And then the third pillar, which is something they just released at the summit, which is what you call Lakehouse Federation for y'all, right? Which is how do we expose data from Salesforce into Databricks to either retrain those models or to conduct any other analysis downstream in Databricks. So those are the 4 pillars, primarily focused on 2 pillars today, and then the other 2 pillars we'll showcase at a later time. But we're going to show bring your own model and bring your own lake today. So for those that haven't worked with Salesforce before, Salesforce is considered one of the best CRMs out there, and it's essentially a way for you to be able to manage your customer interactions and your relationship with your customers through various touch points. That's everything from sales to service to marketing to analytics and commerce, and that keeps growing every day, right? Just because customers' expectations have changed. And as a result, we understand at Salesforce that a single source of truth has many definitions. A single source of truth in Salesforce may be something that's within the scope of those realms, but a single source of truth for the company might be something more. And therefore, we introduced Data Cloud. Data Cloud is our own lakehouse that helps you bring data together from various sources and then activate on that data for a sales, service, marketing, commerce use case. So this is Data Cloud here. How you access Data Cloud is just by clicking on the waffle icon. You'll see all the different applications we have. So if you're a sales user, you would typically use something like a sales app, which is something like this, like a homepage. You have your contacts, accounts, opportunities, etc. And Data Cloud is that layer beneath that basically brings all that data together. And it's actually just accessed right from the same place as you would for all the other apps. And here's when you start configuring your different data streams. So, Databricks is very familiar with medallion architecture, right? It's actually quite similar in Salesforce as well. What you'll see at the very top here are the bronze layer, the silver layer, and the gold layer, right? So data streams, it's just raw data coming in from various sources. So I have all my data streams coming in here. And this means data also from Salesforce. So this doesn't discriminate between Salesforce data versus Databricks data. Data is data in Data Cloud, and then you activate that back in Salesforce. So starting things off, you would start to configure your data streams in here from various sources, and you'll see here that I have some data coming from Databricks as well as some data coming from Salesforce. We have a plethora of other connections as well via MuleSoft, as well as some of our own pre-built connectors. But you'll notice a few things here. So you have your ingestion connectors, and then you have your direct access connectors. Direct access connectors are defined by connectors that are just pushing down queries to the source, in this case, Databricks. So you're just virtualizing data. You're not actually porting data over and replicating it. And the value there is, Unity Catalog is a good example. Governance is managed from one place. The moment you replicate this data, you lose the ability to govern that data. And this way, that data still is governed in Databricks, and only what's available to see in Salesforce will be shown. So you see here, I have my data coming in from Databricks. So I have some order data coming in, some lifetime value data, as well as contact engagement data. And there's no records in here, and that's because it's just pushing down that query. Once I've created those data sources and forged that connection between Databricks and Salesforce, then I'm starting to basically move that over to the silver and gold layers. And you'll see that here as I start mapping it to a canonical model, right? So I've got data coming in from the left side here, which is my external DLOs, as we call them, data lake objects, and my DMOs here. So I can have various DLOs being mapped to one DLO. This is essentially to make it efficient for analytics, right? So you have all the different columns that you may need to slice and dice your data. So your DMO is what you're going to use to expose that back to a user. And you'll see here, my DMO here is that order data. And now if I fast forward to a sales user, what that looks like for a sales user is my customer, as an example, is Lauren Bailey. Lauren Bailey has been a longtime customer of mine. I'm not a database administrator. I'm not a data analyst. I am just a sales user that wants to sell, right? And so I'm interested in the things that are happening in other systems, but that relate to Lauren Bailey. So we'll see here, as Lauren Bailey is a customer of mine, I want to keep track of all the orders she may be making on the POS system. That POS system is not connected to Salesforce. It's connected to Databricks, which makes sense. And then with Databricks' Lakehouse federation into Salesforce, I'm able to visualize that data in Salesforce. You'll see here all the orders. This data actually does not reside in Salesforce. It's just a window into data from Databricks. And the same data can also be visualized using CRM Analytics, which is essentially Tableau marries Salesforce, and the product, is CRM Analytics there. But I'm able to visualize that data as well. Now, as a sales rep, that's great, but how do I actually do something about this? So we have our own LLM-generated email solution. We call it Prompt Builder, and it's powered by Einstein. Einstein is the gateway between OpenAI and all the other LLMs and Salesforce that basically creates a trust layer between the LLMs and our CRM data. So here, as a sales rep, I want to email Lauren, and when I click on Draft with Einstein, I can use one of my pre-built custom prompt templates that helps me upsell based on information coming from Databricks. This is important to note. The information is actually in Databricks, but I'm able to infer that into the prompt template, and in my prompt instructions say, hey, refer to data in Databricks and do something about it based on that data. So you'll see here, the last order that was made was order 999. I'm able to call that order information, the amount, any other details that are residing in Databricks in this email, and then define next steps with the customer. Either provide her with a discount or a coupon, or perhaps invite her to like a members only event or something like that, right? So now I've never moved the data over. I've maintained governance in Databricks, but I've activated on that in Salesforce.
All right, that's amazing. So let me recap everything, because that's I think that's a lot to unpack. So you have your data in your Lakehouse, where you, as a data engineer, can collect everything and centralize the contents. On top of that, you can create the connector from Salesforce to Databricks and run direct queries on all the data you might have from any data sources that you might collect in your Lakehouse. And then on top of that, any business user, so non-technical, can see what's available, but also use all the AI LLM like Einstein suite, so that you can, for example, craft these emails based on templates and everything. And because you have all the content, you reduce all the kind of hallucination and everything, and make sure you trust the agents. Wow, that's
Precisely.
that's nice.
And with the prompt template, it's let's suppose the order value was like 4,000, and let's say her average order value is 6,000. So this is well below her order value. We can input that logic into the prompt instructions, and then therefore change the kind of template that's generated as a result, right? So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it, but honestly, the value is being able to activate on that data in Databricks, because there's so much data in Databricks. Now I can visualize it and act upon it, and I don't have to be bound to a bunch of data engineering pipelines. And it's just zero copy connection, right? Very, very low on ETL as well.
And you can just generate this text and then customize it a bit and make sure to drive the business.
So let's see what's in the background of that. Thank you, Jag, for showing us, the nice front end. But in Databricks, we were holding all that data and making sure that it was available for Salesforce. So let's go in Databricks and see what was happening in the background. So basically, we can see the table directly in the catalog, the table that you were doing a query directly, that we saw all the orders, was this table here, and we can see the simple data that we had all the order numbers, the order value, and that's how you were creating the nice graph for that person, Lauren. So basically, this is where the data resided. Also, you had something, prediction at the top, and we needed to create a model for that prediction. So basically, we had a training data set created so that we had all the information. And I am not a data scientist. I only play one on TV. So I, created the model with Jag using our feature called AutoML. So basically, a few clicks and you create multiple models. You pick one at the end. So let me show you how we created that. We just clicked on New, AutoML Experiment, basically selecting one cluster that was running, so a compute on our side. The ML problem that we wanted to do, basically classification, or regression, or forecasting. Let's just pick a classification. The training data set that I showed you, this one here, and the training data set. And then the target, which was the churn, was the person going to churn or not? And basically give it a name and a few other options if you want to customize it a bit. But as soon as I click on Start AutoML, it will generate multiple models and try to have the best model for our problem currently. I won't go into and click it because it's a bit too long, but I'll show you the end result of it. So basically, the end result is fully open source, fully customizable. It's all the experiments with all the notebooks and everything that you need to recreate that experiment, basically. And it also gave us a notebook for the best model and also a data exploration notebook. So let's just review the best model right away. As you can see, it's a complete notebook with all the code. It's not a black box. It's like you can see everything and modify it if you want and rerun it if you want. But that gave us the opportunity after that to take that experiment, create a model, and then serve it. So let's go see how we create a model. Let's close that. And basically, you just have to take one of the experiment, and we already created it, but it's a few clicks just to create and register that model in the model registry. And you can see that we have multiple inputs and output for that model. And that's what Jag is going to send us, the inputs, and we're going to send the output, basically. But after that, we can use the model for inference. So with just a click, I can do real-time inference. So create an endpoint for a REST API endpoint that will be up and down depending on the queries coming in. And I can select the version of my model, take a name, and specify which compute size I want. If I click on create endpoint, it's going to create it. If I want to do Delta Life table, streaming data coming in. I can do that directly here. A few clicks, it's going to create my Delta Life table and be able to do it in a streaming fashion. Or if I have a table that I want to do a batch inference on it, I can also do that. So I can just take the input table and apply the model directly on it. So 3 options. For this use case, we selected the real-time one. And it's already created, so I won't create another one. But basically, if you go in serving here, you will see that this one was created. There's one model on it, and there's not that much because it's a test, but you can see that it was used this morning a bit, and there was a few predictions this morning since we recorded this video. And you can see that it was not using anything, and it went up in a few seconds so that it was live. So pretty easy to create the model with AutoML and also provision the model, and then Jag was able to use it and show that there was either churn or not for this specific end users.
Jack, I have a question for you. How can we integrate the model, the REST endpoint or the model serving endpoint in Salesforce?
Yeah. So with Data Cloud, you don't just have the ability to bring your own data. You also have the ability to bring your own model. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what that looks like. Going back to that record page we saw earlier, right? Going into Data Cloud, you'll see here, as we talked about the medallion architecture, your gold, silver, and bronze tables, we also have Einstein Studio. Einstein Studio is where you will host and store all your models, the ones that are built on Einstein or the ones you're bringing to Einstein. So Einstein Studio acts as a broker between Databricks in this case and Salesforce. So you'll see here that, let's say I want to create a new predictive model or a foundational model. Einstein Studio is where I'll go for that. In this case, I want to create a new prediction model. So here I have 2 choices. Either I can build my own model from scratch, just on the Einstein platform. It's declarative, it's simple, similar to AutoML in that case. Or if I've already got a model built out in Databricks, I can call that model. And this is where, Yusuf, that connection is brokered between Databricks and Salesforce, right? So I would authenticate in. Important to note here, it's very, very case sensitive. So your token actually, and this is for the folks that want to implement this, when you go into your secret key, start with bearer, so BEARER, space, and then input your token information. Vincent and I spent 2 weekends trying to figure this out, and we got it figured out. But the syntax was very sensitive. And so you'll see here, this is the prediction format, right? Very similar to what you saw here. It's basically a JSON payload, right? So as long as your schema matches with the schema expected in Databricks, as well as the metadata, so the type, the types of fields matches back to Salesforce, you're ready to start using it. So when I go back here, I connected the endpoint, I review the schema, and I match the schema. Then, for an end user, I have a few options. So I can either create batch predictions for all my data all at once and create maybe a nightly prediction job, or I can stream predictions in. So you'll see here, I've already built out a model here. That's the one that's calling the one Vincent just created, right? So in the integrations, you can set up these prediction jobs to run in batch or streaming. And this is how it's going to go back onto the user record. So now that we've seen the back end of it, let's see what the front end experience looks like. So going back to Lauren Bailey's page, right? Back to, wearing my sales rep's hat. Not only is it important for me to be able to sell to Lauren as much as possible, but I also want to manage her loyalty. I want to make sure that she's a happy customer, right? And thanks to Databricks now, that prediction of churn metrics is actually appearing to me on my homepage. So I look at Lauren's record and I see, okay, the customer is likely to churn. I should do something about this. Here it's a very Boolean yes or no answer, but you can have predictions that give you some sort of like likelihood to churn. So if it's 70, 80%, whatever that may be. But for the sake of this demonstration, we've got this here that, hey, the customer is likely to churn. We should do something about this. So I'm going to send an email to Lauren again, and hey, let me try to fix this issue before it becomes an attrition problem, right? Once again, with Einstein, I'm able to generate an email that's going to take into factor what's happening with Lauren as a customer and if she's a happy customer or not. So here in this case, I'm trying to pitch something, I'm trying to sell a product to her, but Einstein's going to intercept and say, hey, hold on a second. She's likely to churn. So we still want you to send the email, but let me suggest perhaps as a token of appreciation, let's offer her a 10% discount and let's send her maybe a survey to collect her feedback on why she's likely to churn. So Einstein, once again, is smart enough in taking that prompt information from Databricks, seeing that from Databricks we know that she's going to churn, and then send an email accordingly. So Lauren calls us and says, hey, I'm not very happy with the monthly charges. I'm paying way too much per month with you guys. I would like to be at this like the $10 sweet spot, for example. Okay. And so here we agree, you know what, Lauren, you've been a customer of ours for like 4 years. We're happy to give you 33% off, right? And then go ahead and change that monthly charge. As soon as I do that, it's taking all the information on this record page and sending that back to that model to confirm that the prediction is still true. So now she's not likely to churn based on new data that we just shared with the model. We reduced her monthly charge, and that had a positive impact on the customer, and now we know she's not going to churn. So this is how we can first create that brokerage between Salesforce and Databricks for models, and then apply that in various ways. I just showed you one use case, but imagine for a marketing user, based on the prediction, you can set up marketing campaigns, right? So you can use the prediction as a way to separate the folks that are going to churn versus the ones that are loyal customers, right? So a lot of different use cases you can apply to it. Anyway,
Yeah, and
I'm
I
going to
imagine.
pause there. Yeah.
And I imagine the example is just prediction, yes, no, but you could do much more advanced thing like maybe next best action based on the churn risk. So, for example, a 10% discount could be an actual recommendation from some model. And I imagine also like the model could even be some kind of LLM AI powered implementation, giving you the actual recommendation running on Databricks. You get the information on Salesforce. You use Einstein to send the email with all the suggested action, and like you almost don't have to do anything. You just click send,
Click a
and that's
button.
it.
Exactly. So I'll give you guys an example of one of the customers. What they're doing is they're applying external models to product usage. So let's suppose you're trying to buy a product and it's an e-commerce store, and they're figuring out based on how much they're selling and the models, what seems to be the root cause of it. So in this case, is it pictures of the actual merchandise on the storefront? Is it the description? And using LLMs to recreate new descriptions based on that feedback from the model, right? So now you're really closing the loop between your data science teams, your data engineering teams, and your front end teams, right?
Yeah. And just wanted to add something. I think it's interesting to share that you talked about bring your own data. You talked about Lakehouse Federation. We're going to also have the possibility to ingest data with Lakeflow, which
Yes.
means you just go to Lakeflow, enter your credentials. You're going to ingest the data as part of the data engineering process. I don't know, prepare some data and then serve this data in Tableau. For example, can be this that can be used to serve
Mm.
all dashboards in Tableau, or maybe train ML models that can also send back to or be used in the platform, and you can track everything and that's how you see Salesforce is working super well with
Mm.
Databricks. And for the records, I know it's gonna be funny, but I spent 10 minutes understanding the logo, and now I just see two hands, which means Databricks is working well with Salesforce. I thought it was a third logo.
That's good feedback. I should find a different handshake emoji. I don't think that's a good one. But yeah, you're absolutely right. With Lakehouse Federation, it will close the loop so well, Yusuf, right? So you're constantly getting new data that you're feeding into the model. you're refining the model, then you're calling that model back in Salesforce. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well. And I like the Tableau angle as well.
And you can also, for the records, you can track the queries coming from Tableau if you use system tables and the query. If you go to query, you can track the down, let's say, tool used, and you can filter by Tableau to see all the queries, who done this query, the duration of the execution, if the data coming from the cache. So it can be super cool information in order to optimize or see who is consuming more data in your Tableau dashboards.
Yeah, that's a good point, because every time a page refreshes here, it's pushing down a query to Databricks. So yeah, how you can optimize the Databricks will be very valuable. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, it's gonna tracking the users, but also tracking the costs can be also
Hmm.
very important for customers for the FinOps part. Like how much does it cost to update this dashboard in daily base or weekly base or monthly base, and also for troubleshooting. For the lineage, this is also something important. Data is coming from Salesforce and ingested in I don't know, in this table, training this model. So it's, in case you have a problem, you know from where this problem is coming, you can fix it easily or quickly.
Hmm. Yeah, I would love to see that. On the, I'm guessing it's coming up on a future next gen Lakehouse episode, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you, Vincent and Jag, for this demo. It was super interesting to see this, how those two platform works together. It was very, very useful to see this integration of the models, integration of the data, and how this works seamlessly together. Thank you again for this demo, and I hope to see you soon in Next Gen Lakehouse.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the call.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.